Hi, Michael Lovett here with Clear Credit, the only credit counseling organization that has a A-plus rating with the BBB that does credit repair. Yes, we've helped hundreds of thousands of people with credit. Today I want to talk about FICO scores. FICO scores and how important it is when you go to buy a car, to get a house, just to get a loan. In reality, if your scores are not that great, you're not going to get that great of an interest rate. Always remember, you should be striving for a 700 or better on your FICO scores before you go borrow any money on anything, because they'll kill you on interest rate. Give you, for instance, if your credit cards, if you can borrow $1,000 on your credit card, and you have and you're over 50%, for in other words, you owe more than 500 on that credit card, it's not helping your scoring. Your score is going to stay about the same. Now, the closer you get to maxed out, the lower your FICO score is going to get, and that's regardless of which you go to purchase. In other words, if you can keep it at a 33% or lower, then you're maximizing your FICO score with that personal loan of that credit card. So always keep your credit cards at 33%. In other words, if you have $1,000, you can borrow, never go over $330. That way you're maximizing that score. So if you go to buy something like a car or a home or something like that, make sure you get all your balances down to that 33%, or as close as you can, or under would even be better. If you like what you're hearing today, please hit that subscribe, and of course your like. I sure would appreciate it. Helps me out in making these videos and keep me motivated to keep on going. I want to give y'all some other insights on FICO scores. The length of time that you're in the credit bureau, of course, the more history you got as far as credit goes, the better score you're going to get. You want to get the best scores you possibly can. Payment history is about 35% of your FICO scores. So the more things you can finance and pay off and stuff like that is going to help your scores. New credit lines. New credit lines will actually bring your score down when you first get a loan. They don't want you to go out and borrow from 4 or 5 different places, or 2 or 3. You need to borrow money from one particular place, preferably like a bank, a financial institution like a credit union, somewhere like that. Finance companies don't really help your credit. They actually set you up for failure for later on, because people that do finance, I was a finance director at a dealership, at an automobile dealership, and when I seen somebody going through finance, I know you're used to paying 15 to 28% interest on everything that you ever borrow. And you're what we call a payment buyer. So when you get to a car lot, first thing the salesperson, a smart one anyway, goes, what kind of payment you trying to get to? And of course you spit that payment out. He said, oh, I want to stay at 350, 400. He says, how much money you got down? He's doing what we call qualifying. He used to come up on the lot. I would greet you on the lot. Wouldn't even show you a car. I'd just start talking to you, find out where'd you finance your last car at, how long you been on your job, that type of stuff. Qualifies really fast instead of wasting a bunch of time with a person that can't buy a car. So always remember, time on the job is very important. How much money you make, very important. Do you rent or buy your home? Very important. Where'd you finance your last car at? Very important. If you can answer them 4 things really easy, then you should not have no problem borrowing money to buy a car. But the one thing you should do is go to your credit union or your personal bank. Find out how much money they're willing to loan you before you go to a car lot. It makes you a smarter shopper. If they say, hey, we can only loan you $15,000, there's no need in going out looking at $20,000 and $30,000 automobiles. Of course, a lot of times you can go to a dealership, like a Nissan or a Chevrolet, or someone like that, whatever car you prefer, a Honda, whatever it might be, a Ford. It's totally up to you. Everybody has different likes. They all last a very long time anymore. I mean, everybody's wanting to give you a 6-year, 100,000-mile warranty now, so that's because they last a lot longer now. And if you take care of them, change the oil on them, they last for a long time. But anyway, find out what you can borrow from your credit union, what type of interest rate. That way, it makes you a smart buyer. That way, when you get to the lot and they're trying to sell you a vehicle for $20,000 or $30,000, and you say, "Well, I already got my financing, and I don't want to borrow that much. I'm looking to spend about $15,000." They can start showing you cars within that range. Of course, always remember, you can go to your bank or credit union and find out what that car is actually worth. You don't have to get on the computer and start looking at black booking, green booking, yellow booking, all that kind of stuff. No need in doing that. Just go to your bank. They're not going to loan you more money than what the car is worth. It's always a good idea to have some money down. The more money you have down, the cheaper interest rates you're going to get. They want you to have something into the loan when you go to purchase something. Of course, if your credit's really good, if you're an 800 plus like Uno here, everybody wants to loan me whatever I want to get. The other thing about FICO scores and credit, overall credit, you have to keep it active. You get older like me, a lot of older people now don't keep borrowing money. They're tired of borrowing money and that type of stuff. The only problem with that is they get older and you get 60, 65, and they hadn't borrowed none in the last 10 years. Things do fall off your credit after 10 years. Unfortunately, the bad stuff don't come off like it's supposed to. They find a way to keep it on there. They know how to manipulate that file. That's how come we do so good with credit repair here at Clear Credit in Sumter, South Carolina. Because there are a lot of people out there trying to be Clear Credit, and they call themselves Clear Credit something, and trying to take my name. But that's fine. That's fine. They're still not me, and everybody ends up finding me anyway. Anyway, remember on your FICO scores, if you go out to purchase, go to your bank and find out what your scores are to purchase a car. Because everything's based on how long you've been on the job, how much money you're making. Of course, your FICO score is going to depend on what you're going to purchase. You get a car, it's an auto FICO score. A mortgage is a mortgage FICO score. Credit card's a credit card score. Everything has its own particular scores. That's why every time you go to get your credit pulled up, you always got a different score. Somebody's always giving you a different score. You go to a different car dealership, he's pulling it from a different, it could be pulling from Credit Masters, Credit Plus, Credco. It depends on that also. Where are they getting their information from, the source? So everything matters. It's going to be pretty close on an automobile of what you're going to finance. A lot of times you'll go to a dealership and you give their information out, and then you go somewhere else and it looks like you done been around the world shopping. That's because that dealership just took your application and stuck it in that machine and done what we call shotgun you. Send you out to about 15 or 20. They get you approved, and it's hard to get approved anywhere else because it looks like you're trying to buy the world. That's why also the reason I tell you it's so important to find out what you can do before you hit the lot. I mean, basically, you go to your bank and they say, "Hey, we can loan you $15,000 at 6.5% on a 2-year-old or a newer car, or a 3-year-old newer car, or a 4-year-old, whatever it may be." Know what your terms and conditions are on that loan. So when you get to a car lot and your bank's telling you, "Hey, I can loan it to you for 9%, and the car company's going to say, "Hey, how about if we could beat that rate?" Well, heck yeah. Get the cheaper interest rate, but remember what your rate is, what your terms are. Have an idea what your payment's going to be, so they're not putting a bunch of mop and glop on the back end of your loan. So you should know at a $15,000 loan, at 60 months, you should be around $3 to $325 a month. If they're saying $375, $380, you're not getting a better interest rate. Don't let them just shove the paperwork in front of you and say, "Sign here, sign here, sign here." Make sure you look at that contract, the 4 boxes on that contract. Will give you all the information you need to know how much you're financing, how much you're financing after your down payment, how much is the total amount of the deal after you've made all your payments. Always look at your contract. Always look at what you're signing. Of course, you got to remember you got to have insurance on a car before you drive it off the lot. Don't forget about that. I will be talking quite a bit more about these loans and getting loans through your banks versus your other dealers. You go to buy a home, the mortgage dealer is going to have people. But you can do all that stuff right there at your bank. You don't have to go through their source. You can find out what you got before you even go look. Have an idea of what you need to be buying, what kind of payment you need to be in. Nothing worse than finding something that you really, really want and then find out it's out of your means. That's a terrible feeling. Anyway, I'm going to be talking more about different type loans that you can get, the difference in simple interest versus compound interest, better places to finance, where to get your money at, that type deal. So y'all stay tuned, keep coming back. Please subscribe, hit the like buttons. Again, I'm Michael Levitt. I'm the owner-operator of Clear Credit. We're a licensed credit counseling organization that does credit repair. We've been in business since 2003. We've helped hundreds of thousands of people. We are the only credit repair, credit counseling organization in America with an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau since 2006. It speaks very highly for me and my family, because it is me and my family that's doing this. I decided I was going to come out and help people with their credit years ago. I did this actually for free for 7 years. I wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about. I heard so many people out there saying they could do credit repair and they'd get your credit straightened out X amount of days, and everything happens. Everything happens in let me cut my cell phone off there. And everything happens, you know, in a split second. So anyway, I got to go. I got to get that phone. Very important. I've been waiting on that phone call. Remember, if you need some help with your credit, give us a call. It's 1-888-876-8880. We're here from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And of course, 9 to 3:30 on Thursday. We do get out of here on 3:30. We have ball games and stuff like that for the grandkids, for my grandkids, my son's kid, and my daughter's kid. They like baseball, and they like that soccer. Anyway, please stay tuned. Hit the subscribe, hit the like button, please. And I look forward to talking to you again. Have a beautiful day.